Welcome to episode 17 of the HUSLA podcast. I'm taking charge of leading this one because we all made the executive decision that Jace talks too much.
You guys made that decision.
So our special guest today is Jorden with an E, yes. Jorden Radliff. Radliff Rehab, as you can see on his nice t-shirt there. He's got the branding out. Jordy, I'm going to let you take the reins here and just kind of explain who you are, what you do, where you came from.
Nice. Thanks for having me, fellas. Good to be here. I'm a physiotherapist. Marcus is a physiotherapist, actually. Based on the Gold Coast. Moved to Melbourne about 8-9 years ago, but did all my degree up on the Goldie. So moved straight away to Melbourne and then started to get into the physio world. So that's kind of where it started, but I guess throughout I didn't love the traditional physio stuff. So I wanted to find how can I move into different areas, and that's where I started to get into the S&C environment, and that's where I started to build into the ACL world, and that's what I really specialise in these days.
Why'd you move to Melbourne?
Partner, yeah. So she did more digital marketing based stuff on the Gold Coast, and at the time there just wasn't much work. Yep. So I wanted to move to Sydney or Melbourne, and she chose Melbourne. And
Good choice.
Good choice, man.
I'll come for the ride.
So Goldie or Melbourne?
I still love Goldie for what it is,
yeah.
But I don't think I'd be as good as much as I know now if I didn't come to Melbourne.
Yeah.
So I reckon Melbourne's cool, but I still love Goldie more, I reckon.
So what about Melbourne taught you more than you think you would have learned?
Just more volume, like really good practitioners, different styles of setups, more S&C world environment,
yep.
All that type of stuff that I really didn't know anything about to start with, yep. and now I know a decent amount, and I don't think I would have got that on the coast.
Yep.
Talk us through your journey as a practitioner, like literally from day one, graduating.
Yeah.
Where'd you work? What were the setups? Were you working in your general clinics, like down the road or what?
Yeah, so just graduating, probably just before graduating, I did a placement with a guy named Tim Brown, a really good physio that started to think outside the box pretty early, and just not that hands-on work's it's gonna be the thing that solves it. He was more thinking of a holistic nature of rehab. So that was like, I was already thinking along that way before I graduated. Then when I graduated, moved into traditional physiotherapy, so just a clinic. I didn't know anyone in Melbourne. Tim Brown got me a job down here just with someone that he knew. And that's kind of where it started. That was seeing 30 to 50 people a week in a room, massage, all that type of basic stuff with not too much rehab involved.
Traditional.
Real traditional.
Traditional.
Just seeing a lot of people.
When was this?
So I first moved in end of 2017.
Yep.
So it would have started 2018.
Yep,
and that was me, I reckon, for the first 2.5 years. Which I think was really good though, because I got my hands on a bunch of different people. I got good at using my hands. I got good at talking to a lot of different types of people. But then I was like, fuck, I want more from this.
Yep.
Like I was just sick of just being in a room, I guess.
100%.
And that's where someone before I moved down to Melbourne was like, go check out Christian Woodford. And I was like, fuck, all right, I'm going to give this a go. Yep. And then just called him up and had a chat with him. He's like, yeah, come in. And then I just ended up being a client for a while. And you know, with Woody, you start as his client and then you end up being everyone else's client, really. So I was with Brick and people like that. But just being in that environment I was starting to learn more.
Yep.
And then their physio left, and then I just jumped on board and started to be the physio there. He didn't really give me an option.
When you said you wanted more from physio when you were doing that initial job, what's more to you? Like, was it better results? Was it,
Yeah, probably more was working with a sporting population potentially.
Yeah, okay.
Like being in an area where I could run through a rehab from the start all the way to the finish, and not just like a lower back injury, but more a knee injury, a hip injury, an ankle injury, where I've got to do gym work, I've got to do field work, I've got to do more of that type of stuff rather than just the early days. And the early days are still important, but I wanted to be a physio that could do more.
Yeah, of course.
We've spoken about this before in other podcasts, and it's less specific to just being a practitioner, but it's kind of like in any industry really. There's always that eating shit phase, and that's what I kind of attribute to being that eating shit phase in our kind of worlds. I mean, I'm sure you'd be the same. Like having to see 30 to 50 a week, not doing the best job you could if you had different setups and resources. and then having to be like, all right, I need to make that move. Like it's that initial phase, which, like you said, it's so important. Seeing a high volume of, patients, different patients, gen pop, older, younger, all that kind of thing, I think is so important for practitioners to develop. Whether it's actually being a practitioner, PT, you hear it all the time. Like you need hours on the gym floor. You just need that exposure. So on that, how did you find going from that traditional approach of just pumping people in and out of the door to taking that more like thorough kind of approach? Was it a hard transition?
I think it was a bit of a harsh transition because I only knew what to do in that small amount of time to begin with. I knew how to do the early stuff, but then that getting into, let's say, middle stage or testing or whatever it was going to be, like I just didn't know anything about it. So it was like I was starting fresh. So I think it was super challenging at the start, but having longer consults or everything that I kind of built from there, like it allowed me to learn and spend more time with that client and then start to get better results and start to get that ball rolling. But yeah, the tradition, the start of that was quite challenging, I reckon.
Yep.
Can I hop in? So if we can, correct me if I'm wrong here, but traditional approach, very hands-on, 30 odd minutes, no aftercare really until they come back and see you, which is usually a week or two later, correct?
Yeah.
How does what you do now differ from that? From like, not from, more so from the standpoint that how you provide the service, the amount of time you spend with the client, the aftercare that you give a client, whether it's an email after with an outline of everything, communications between appointments, maybe more spaced out appointments. How does that differ from the traditional approach now? And how does it benefit as well?
Yeah. There's still a little bit of the traditional approach that I still have.
Of course.
Because I don't think it's a bad thing for certain injuries. So I work at Rebuild Health and Performance, which is up in Brunswick East, and we have a combination of all that. So if we got someone coming in for, let's say, lower back pain or just something a little bit smaller that doesn't need as much attention compared to an ACL rehab that's very long and they're going to be with us for a long period of time, we still hit that traditional approach. But I feel like the more rehab approach works in these longer term rehabs, and what I mean by that is consults are normally an hour long. The touch points are a lot more, so they're coming in 2 or 3 times a week. We're seeing them in the room, we're seeing them in the gym, and we're also seeing them out on the field, and that's where I think we can get successful rehabs compared to if I had that ACL or had that hip injury where I saw them for 30 minutes once a month and then giving them a program and go from there. So I think the biggest thing of successful rehab is a lot of touch points, trying to make it as professional environment as possible, where we can make changes as we go and try and be on top of that stuff, because that's the hardest part, I reckon. Testing's easy because we just go and test them, but informal kind of testing, which is every session, like that's the hard part where you got to make small tweaks as you go, and you just don't get that if you're seeing them once a month and not answering their emails.
So from like your traditional, I guess, approach or traditional physiotherapy, I might be wrong in saying this, but like what's changed, you've got like obviously access to a gym, you see them more regularly, longer consultations, and less manual therapy.
Less manual therapy when needed. Like I still think manual
less
therapy.
priority on manual therapy.
Yeah. So early days, you still want it. You still like if we're talking about knees, you still want to get that leg straight. You still want to reduce swelling. You still want to like do the basics there, but less focus on it as rehab goes. There's going to be touch points as rehab goes where they need to be loosened up. They need to be focused on there. But yeah, it's just not all manual therapy the whole way through. Spending as much time as we can with these clients in certain rehabs is super important.
Let's chat about like I guess for young practitioners that might be listening or that are out there. You chatted about how you went from, I guess, working with a really good physio and kind of working more of a clinic setting, and then getting into, you're more at Woody's gym, and then, really getting into ACLs and stuff. What did you do in the background, apart from just working in those environments, to develop yourself as a practitioner? Because I assume you didn't just wake up one day and know everything about ACLs. So how did you actually develop your knowledge in that kind of realm?
I think the biggest one was, I guess if we talk about just ACLs, it was talking to the right people, like learning from different people that have been in the industry for a longer period of time, and even getting with some younger crew that was similar age to me that was start getting into the ACL world and working together with them to create stuff that really worked.
Give us a couple examples. Like, did you do courses? Did you did you shadow people? Like,
well, my biggest, followers, or the people that I really like to follow, is a guy named Ender King and Tim McGrath. And sports, really good. SportsMap does really good courses, and that's like the first people that I really saw there. Yep. I went to an Ender King course, and then a year later I went to a Tim McGrath course, and I've kept going to them. But they're the people that got me started, and then just listen to podcasts of what they're talking about and how they run through their ACLs or knee injuries in general. But then also, as I said, talking to crew that was similar age to me too. A guy named Adam Walker up on the Gold Coast was doing PhDs on ACLs. I talked to him quite a lot back in the day about it. My business partner at the moment, Yasu Maki, was involved in with him as well. So kind of having the conversations with him. And then the crew from Athletes Authority, Justin Richardson, were really good early days as well, with their systems, how they set everything up. So just having like a bit of a core crew and then learning off people that have been in the industry for so long, that's where it started, I reckon, and just kind of built from there. I'm still learning on that shit though, because there's fucking so much to it.
Of course, you're always learning. And that's something, that's what kind of leads me to my next question. Like, do you think that's one of the things that holds back the standard of the industry? That kind of I guess lack of desire to just continue learning after you've done a massive course at uni and you've killed yourself to get a degree, and you come out and then you're like, oh, we kind of know that these courses are outdated and a lot of the stuff that we're learning isn't really in line with the current evidence.
Do they?
Hey,
but do these people? Do they know that?
I think once you get into the real world, I think unless there's some sort of element of being a little bit blind to it, you'd have to know. I mean, that was my experience, man. I was getting told, I was getting taught.
They know?
Yeah, oh, man, they'd have
Well,
to.
it depends what they want to do. There's so many different areas in physio as well.
Yeah.
Like, not everyone wants to go into the rehab world.
Yeah, correct. And then I guess like what you learn, man, like some of the stuff that you learn is just, if it's a tendon injury, like just rest, or if you Google stuff and you look at like even the top 10 Google results, barring Google Scholar and all that stuff, top 10 Google results of how to manage a tendon injury, they'll tell you anti-inflammatory is rest and stuff like that. And their clinic websites half the time. So I think a lot of the things that we are, learning as like, young practitioners, and I say young as in you've just graduated, is outdated. So I think there's, to really shine and to do really well and get the best results for your clients, I think it is inherent that you need to stay up to date. You need to be exploring other courses like you did with your SportsMap stuff and all that kind of thing. So do you think that that's one of the issues that the industry faces, that people are just like, I'm over it, I can't be stuffed doing all this extra study?
Yeah, but I think at the start that's okay. Like when you first get out of uni, because I think the biggest thing is like just get through uni, and then once you're out, that's when you probably start learning anyway. Like you learn the basics at uni, but you don't learn that much in regards to rehab or anything like that. But I think the most important thing is just getting into a clinic at the start, getting your hands dirty and starting to work. But then, as you said, you've got to start to find ways once you know a little bit more and you want to find an area to niche down in or whatever, that's when you got to start diving deep. But for some people, they just don't have enough time. They're working in clinics where they're working 5-6 days a week. Yeah. They don't have time to get out and do that shit. But you got to have a drive to do it. And if you've got the drive to do it, you make it work. But if you don't, that's where you just get complacent and you do the same shit for 10, 15, 20 years. You make enough money, you do that, and then that's all they want.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the, I guess, more, basic, standard, traditional practitioners, I don't even reckon they would know personally. Like when you hear them saying they told a client to no, squatting's just not for you, like do you reckon like that's the end? Like, oh yeah, we know that there's better, but I'm just going to send them off and say stop.
Yeah, potentially for some people.
I swear they don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like and like you said as well, this is sort of like a separate question as well, but you said you were coming out of uni and you were already starting to think outside the box. So first, the box, is that just like uni textbook?
Yep. To me it is anyway.
And like, how do you start thinking outside the box? Like, what made you start thinking outside the box? And
I think the way I started thinking outside the box is that the brain controls everything, and that's what that physio kind of spoke about, or implemented in the way he rehabs people.
You taught this in uni?
Hey,
you taught that in uni?
There's probably stuff that's coming in these days, but no, not at all. There's people that talk about pain science, but how to actually do that in practice is a whole different thing, and that's what I was watching this guy do for a long period of time through my uni. And that's where I started to think the brain controls more. It's not where the pain is, that's where the injury is. There's a lot more that goes on to it. And to me, that's a little bit outside the box at the start, rather than, just thinking what I learned in that textbook or in that practical.
Yeah. Do you reckon there was a lot of people thinking outside the box in uni?
No, probably not. There was some. There's definitely always some people that are definitely into that, but not at uni. A lot of people just get through it.
Yeah.
I guess to go back to Jace's question, I guess this is a question for you, but do you think like the standard of care that people receive that's probably not in line with, I guess, like actual evidence-based practice, like it might be, just don't do this movement because it hurts you or whatever. Do you think that's somewhat coming from the constraints of the traditional model where it's like, all right, I've got half an hour to see this person, I'm not going to be able to touch base with him, so I'm just going to try and get him out of pain? Or do you think that's a component?
I reckon you're spot on there, because a lot of these practitioners are smart, and I'm not hating on physios at all, because I am one, but it's just how it's set up doesn't allow for a lot of the time a successful outcome. For certain injuries, you got your 20-30 minutes, you got to write your notes in that time a lot of the time as well. So it's, let's just get through the basics, let's work on one thing. If squatting's causing them pain, let's stop that, and then move on to the next thing going forward. So I do think it's that time constraint that really fucks people sometimes, and that's where I think that model needs to continue to change to create good outcomes in the industry.
And relative to the actual client, the person that's sitting on the other end of that desk, I think it's so important that they understand that a cheaper physio that sees you for less time it's not a better option.
Yeah.
A lot of the time it's actually a worse option. So they'll look at that, they'll say, this person charges, say, $70 for 30 minutes. And this person charges $150 for an hour. 150 is a bit much. I'll stick to the 70. But the 70 is going to see you 10 times and tell you to come in 3 times a week and do bugger all with you and get through.
You'll be in the same position.
Nothing
slightly better.
Well,
exactly
the
right.
opportunity cost is worse. Because
and I think that that's, I don't know if you saw...
get what you pay for.
What's his name? Is it Jared, the shoulder physio? Made a post, the shoulder physio?
Up on the coast.
Yeah, he made a post the other day and he said they did a bunch of kind of analysis on, what the industry standard should be to charge somebody for.
Yeah, I did say that.
And it was like, $219.
Yeah.
And if you threw that number out to most people on the street, they said, no chance. But I think the question isn't just the price. I think that's the worst way, especially in this industry, to make a decision, and people need to understand that, because from my experience at least, especially hearing from what clients say as they come in the door, if you go and you just sign up to your 10-week program, two days a week, just little short sharp appointments, you end up getting nowhere.
What's
invest.
the cost of that? What is the obviously there's a cost that you pay, and then there's a cost of not improving. What's the cost of that? Like, especially if your goals and your mental health is like connected to training, feeling good, progressing. Like, what's the cost of you feeling shit for longer?
Yeah, so I think we can all just I guess it's good to get your kind of point of view on this as well, because we've actually chatted about this on the podcast before. But in this industry, as a client, trying to pick a practitioner to run your rehab with that decision should not be based on price. It should be based on value and actually understanding if that practitioner is aligned with what your goals are.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. And that's where I like when people do their research to find a practitioner that's going to work for them. If you bring it back to the ACL world, it's like a lot of the time for people that have had not the best rehab to start with, I see them for a second opinion. And every time they're going to say, oh shit, I wish I came here first. You know what I mean? I wish I didn't waste my time or my first 6 months of my ACL rehab being with someone else before coming to see you. We got people travelling from Shepparton all over the place now to come see us just because their value of us is more than a cheap physio. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Of them seeing us is better than a cheap physio. So, yeah, spot on. But sometimes it takes a while for people to understand that.
Yeah. And not all rehab's the same, right?
Yep.
Exactly. It's not. I think people get a little bit confused when it comes to that. So if you have an ankle sprain, people think it's just a textbook rehab process, and every physio has this protocol from step 1 all the way through to step 10 on exactly how to rehab you, which exercises to use, but it's really not like that at all. In fact, it's the opposite.
It is.
It's actually all up to that, and if you try and follow protocols too strictly, you always miss the mark.
Man,
because
if
we're
it-
treating
yeah.
an individual human.
100%. And if it was easy as just following protocols, I don't think anyone would re-injure, really.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Correct.
mean? Because we do everything perfect, and that's all we'd have to do. But yeah, it is that whole N=1 where everyone is so different, how they respond. They could have the same surgeon, they could have the same graph, they could have the same whatever it is, and they respond completely different. Or they go through the exact same surgery twice, and they respond completely different as well.
Yeah.
So it's so challenging, and yeah, fucking hard work, but that's probably why we love it as well, because we have to really solve that puzzle each and every time.
Yeah. That's the most fun part about it.
Yeah.
As a practitioner, it's actually thinking.
Yeah, and you don't stop
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, you
no.
go to bed and you have a dream about this shit sometimes.
Yeah.
It's fucking hard work.
Yeah,
But when you get the result that you want, you're stoked on it. And when you don't, you reflect and you find ways to get better. And that's how you do get better, by screwing some of these up or just not getting the best results. And then, I'm going to learn from that and I'm going to get better. If I see that pattern again, I'll know what to do earlier and then go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the I'm not sure if you know this off the top of your head, but like the prevalence rate of an ACL tear? Because it seems like you ask sort of anyone, and everyone knows a few people who've done their ACLs. Like,
Yeah.
it does seem very common.
Yeah, well, I think let's even talk about like a soccer league or a football league, there's probably 1 or 2 a year in every team.
Yeah.
Let's say, like 1 a year.
Yeah, I think the research says that. Yeah.
Something like
Yeah,
that.
It is, yeah.
So for a long-term injury, it's pretty prevalent. It's probably not as high as your quads or your hamstrings or your calves. But yeah, in every team, you'll probably see at least 1 a year.
Sports specific, obviously. Like,
Yeah.
you know, ping pong players probably not going to
Yeah.
cop it as
And correct
readily.
me if I'm wrong, the prevalence has increased?
Someone was talking about this the other day. I don't know if it's probably increasing because there's more people playing sport, both male and females, but there's always been a lot of ACLs. It's just not talked about. There wasn't as much social media. There wasn't much hype on it. But now, because it's kind of like a cool thing for a practitioner to see more ACLs or whatever it is, like we talk about it a lot more. I'm in that space, so I see it so much. But yeah, it's probably increasing with the volume of people.
We have a question from the Q&A that I could rip out that's pretty like on point with what we're talking about right now.
Let's do it.
Rip it out.
All right, let me just, I'll word for word it. Is there anything I can avoid, anything I can do to avoid nuking my ACL? Preventive maintenance.
Nuking your ACL. I think if I knew the answer to that, I'd be rich. But I think the most important thing is to have a strong foundation, so have a really strong strength base. Like that's the first thing I'd really go to, and then I'd continue to work on, if let's say they're a soccer player or a footy player, work on my biomechanics out on the field. If that's having acceleration based stuff, change of direction based stuff, all that in the start of my session or throughout training to really work on that.
Yep. And then like, what about from a lifting standpoint? Like, what are some good sort of exercises that you can do to sort of strengthen the base foundations, as you mentioned?
Yeah. I think just a really good like strength conditioning program, like pretty broad range. If you think about, they say quads are king, so if you can make sure your quads are really doing their job, and your soleus is your kind of second in charge there, so making sure that's doing its work as well. But I think more than that, it's being good with that stuff out on the field. Like the deceleration, the change of direction. I think that's where we miss it a lot, and having good mechanics through there.
There's also obviously like someone just sliding in and kicking your knee and stuff that you probably couldn't change. But
No, not at all. Yeah, if you can step over them each and every time, you'd be sweet. But
just fly.
Yeah, just fly when you need to fly. But yeah, the contact injuries are you just got unlucky. Yeah, and they're the devastating ones that you see when let's say they've come back to sport and then they get a second injury and it's a contact. You're like, fuck, man. You just get unlucky sometimes.
So quads are king.
Quads are king, they talk about.
Fucking knew it.
Yeah.
I remember at uni, so we had to do it was like a quad to hamstring strength ratio test. And the tutor that I had like tore me in front of the class because apparently I was like too quad dominant and at risk of an ACL, even though I didn't play any sports or
The hell is quad
anything
dominant?
like that, which is pretty funny.
Walking around, going to do your ACL.
Does quad dominant exist?
The word quad dominant does come out here and there.
The word exists, or the words exist.
My ears are bleeding.
Yeah, but they talk about, quads are king in the ACL world. just because that's the area that gets so beat up post surgery as well.
Yeah.
If we talk about your rehab, going through a quad graft, you had like a lot of AMI or muscle inhibition post, and that's
Still do.
Still do.
Yeah.
And it's the hardest thing to regain. So anytime you have a big trauma or surgery to the knee, those muscles just switch off and they don't know how to turn back on.
Yeah.
So it's finding ways to get that shit going. It doesn't really work with traditional strength training. Like, you need a lot of volume through there. You need a lot of, like, I guess different things in regards to muscle stim or BFR or whatever to try and get that stuff going
Post surgery.
or even like if you don't go for surgery for some people.
Yep. So BFR's blood flow restriction.
Yeah.
For listeners.
Yeah, just anything to get more volume through there without putting too much load and annoying the knee is stuff we look for.
He was doing
there.
that shit religiously.
Yeah,
Around all the walking, climbing upstairs and all that sort of stuff he was doing.
putting walls up.
Yeah. You weren't happy with me.
Should we talk about your rehab a little bit?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, get into it.
I think the funniest part is the going back to work so quick. Every time I'd come in for an appointment with Jordy, he'd be like, "How's work?"
Yeah,
I'm like, "Yeah, it's busy. It's busy."
you got to do what you got to do at the end of the day.
100%.
But that's what slowed, I reckon, down a touch in regards to the swelling and the
100%.
quads getting activated.
Yeah.
Is just time on your feet, walking up and down stairs.
Yeah.
But as long as you know that, and that's gonna happen throughout the rehab, you got to cop it. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, I guess I really want to kind of chat about the expectations around timelines, because like my rehab has not been the quickest rehab. I'm still not fully recovered. Obviously, I'm not.
How many months are we now, though?
9, 10.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Testing this week.
Yeah, testing this week.
Was it
Yeah.
week 29?
9 month. We kind of delayed it because I was in Europe for a month. So testing this week. But my timeline isn't the quickest timeline. It's very variable. I've been on 2 holidays in the whole time from pre-op to post-op in this time. Like, context definitely matters, and like you said, setting the expectation also matters as well. And I think too many people get married to the idea of a 9-month recovery or a 12-month recovery, when in reality, like we mentioned before, every single person is their own individual, and so many contextual factors influence how quickly or how slow you'll come back.
And you had a lot of them, right?
Yeah, of course. Came back to work, like, I'm self-employed for the most part, at least, and I needed to work. Like, I just didn't have an income. I needed to pay bills and all that kind of thing. So I came back to work early. Like, people say, "Oh man, how do elite athletes come back in 6 months?" And I'm like, they're sitting on their ass getting massages all day. They're doing nothing.
That's their job.
They're not walking up and down stairs with clients and having to, lift things up and do all that kind of stuff every day, whilst also managing the stress of, the actual rehab itself. If you've got all these stresses and you've got a full bucket of all these stresses and your body's struggling to recover from it all, and you pull out all the ones apart from your ACL rehab, you have a much easier time, and then you chuck all the other ones in, and it makes it tougher. And I experienced that firsthand.
Yeah, I guess you got to think about, you want a mix of time and criteria. You want time to just know where you are in the rehab in regards to how long it's been and healing process of the ACL, we could say. But then you want criteria to make all the big decisions. A good example for that is even for you for running. Like, we tested our first time probably around 13 weeks, but then we knew, all right, you're not ready yet.
Yeah, no chance.
If we're going off, let's say, just off timeline, okay, it's been 12 weeks, you're good to run.
Yep.
And you would have ran and you would have just had a swollen knee and stopped running after a week or 2. But because we're on criteria, we said, okay, let's wait a little bit longer. Let's test again. Let's get some good results with this testing. Then I'll get you out in the field.
Yep.
So instead of having a framework based around timelines,
Yep.
you're saying you've got a framework based around testing and results of the
100%.
testing.
Yeah, and that's how like longer term rehabs or a lot of rehab that involve people returning to sport or something a little bit more high intensity, like that's what it should be, where you know what's going on in the timeline, but criteria wise you gotta fucking pass that to get to that next stage.
And that's what just for the listeners out there, that's what a good physio does. Like, we didn't push beyond what we needed to push. We were like, obviously Jordy made the call, and we didn't want to flare my knee up and hold me back and just get married to those timelines. And from the client's point of view as well, don't take that as like, oh shit, I'm falling behind the 8 ball, because your journey is your journey. It's not the same as somebody else's, and you will only recover as quick as you can recover. You know, there's no special exercise or anything different that's going to happen. Some just do it quicker than others. As long as you're, you know, doing all the right things, that's all you need to worry about.
Yeah.
What about uni? Like, do they speak about ACL rehab in uni?
Not really. There's probably a small part of it, but there wasn't any really like exercise prescription or rehab kind of, I guess, classes that I took that were in the physiotherapy degree. So not really.
So to become, I guess, an ACL specialist, pretty much everything you got to do is outside of university.
Yeah.
Well, you have to do that anyway for anything, but
yeah. You were taught in uni to not use leg extension in the first 12 weeks. Don't do anything open chain. You were taught things that were really old school, I guess. That are still important for certain injuries, but that you're taught it backwards pretty much, and then you just got to figure it out when you get out of uni. But as we talked about before, that's just finding the right people. There's so much information out there. There's so many courses you can do that are actually really good. So it's just having the time to do them and slowly learn. And like, I've probably been focusing on ACLs over the last like 5-6 years now. So, and there's still a lot that I need to learn, and I'm still learning like each and every week.
Always, man. Student of life.
100%.
But correct me if I'm wrong as well. Does it not make you enjoy your job more knowing that the things that you're doing for your clients are in line with what the best in the world are doing? Like Tim McGrath, for example, like you're using his principles and ideas that he has, and he's worked at, you know, the top level. And just knowing that, like, what I'm doing is, like, I feel confident that I'm actually helping this person to the best of my ability, not, I'm just going to use what I did in uni and hope for the best, even though I know I'm not set up for it.
Yeah, 100%. Spot on.
You love your job more.
Yeah.
Like, you know you can help more people.
You grow better as well.
Man.
We had the same shit in PT school, Cert 3 and 4, like shoulder pain, impingement, as they call it. No, don't do any overhead pressing with the person. And like, as
pull to
I've
push
gone
ratio
through the years and learnt from outside of PT school, like the serratus and lower trap exists and all these sorts of things, and you can do some basic testing. I don't know if it's even legal or not, but as a PT, I used to do some basic testing and just see where range of motion limitations are passive and actively, and then just try and improve them through exercise. Yeah. And like, that built my business. At the start, I was just fixing people's shoulders and backs.
Yeah.
And like, it was just from like just knowing what the hell's going on, and then giving them some training that's suited to what the hell's going on. Yeah,
and just learning more and wanting to do it, hey?
And it all came from shit that I learned outside of PT school. I never went to uni, but I'm sure the university's a bit stronger.
Well, yeah, no, it was the same in exercise science. It was pretty much just, like, this movement's bad, this movement's good.
Push to pull ratio.
This thing has to be this way. Yeah, need to, row with twice as much volume as any pressing movement.
Good way to make it worse, mate.
All the all like the postural analysis stuff.
That's so wrong that it's so funny. It's unbelievable.
I want to pick your brain quickly. I remember you said that the brain controls everything.
Yeah.
So I had a question, like, one, I want you to elaborate a little bit on that, and two, I want to pick your brain about the psychology of, like, dealing with people who come in that have doubts or are concerned about anything. Like, how do you incorporate, one, understanding how the brain does control everything and their view on an injury, and what you do with that?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Let's ask Marcus real quick. In your rehab, like, what do you feel, I'll get into this in a sec, but what do you feel like the brain has controlled, like, stopping you from doing certain things? And then when I'm like, okay, we can do this, so, like, it's totally different. Have you had any of those moments?
Oh, yeah. I remember when we did our, was it, I think it was 6-month testing.
Yeah.
I hadn't done a single leg hop.
Yeah.
And we wanted to test it side to side. And I was like, at first, like, shitting myself, like, nah, you'll be right. And the moment Geordie told me I'll be right, I just sent it. And I've told him the whole time, like, every time he tells me go for it, it's that blind confidence in the back of my mind to just go for it. Like, and I guess it kind of comes back to, like, I know he's really good at what he does with ACLs, so I just trust you, and that's such a big thing. And I think that has played on my mind heaps. Even the field-based stuff. Yeah. The field-based stuff for me was like, some things just, it's crazy. They just feel like I was doing it yesterday. Some other things I'm like, what the hell is going on here? I'm overthinking. We're doing some decel and change of direction the other day, and Jordan's like, just stop thinking about it too much. Stop thinking, and it was instantly just better.
Yeah,
You know,
I think all these long-term injuries, and that's the psychological side right there, which some people are really good at it and others really struggle with it, and that's where you got to intervene and talk about, do we need a sports psych here? Do we need to go down that track a little bit more, which most of them do need to go down that track anyway, because they're pretty big rehabs and injuries that they need to come back from, especially if they're playing at a decent level. So that's where we go down that track. I do have that introduction type conversation, and then if it's something that needs to be dived into a little bit more because they've got too much anxiety around certain areas, that's when I'll go into that. But the injury itself, brain controls everything. It's a brain injury. What I mean by that is, let's say post a big injury like this, those neural connections just don't fire anymore. We need to find ways to get those pathways going from the brain down to that quad muscle or the area that's injured, compared to the other side that's more of a highway. Those connections are so strong, but down the injured side it's more like a back road at the moment, and we've got to find ways to build that up, get stronger connections so that pathway through there is so strong that they can do whatever they need to do again. And that's what I mean by it's more of a brain injury. There's probably that neural connection side we've got to work on, and then that's that confidence side that needs to come with it. That confidence side is normally, if someone is already anxious, if someone's already struggling through that space, that rehab's going to be pretty challenging. If you got someone that's more like, yep, let's just go for it, whatever you say I'll do, they're the ones that don't need as much of that psychological side. I reckon they just need to work on that neural pathway and build that back up.
It's interesting because I did my back in 2018, and the first physio I went and saw just like stopped all squatting, deadlifting, like all those kind of movements were all gone, and like just put the belief in me that I just wasn't ever going to do anything like that. And all the exercises they had given me to do and all the training that I was doing separated entirely from using my lower back. So if I was training legs, I was doing seated stuff like, leg extensions or hammy curls and stuff.
Another quick way to get worse.
Yeah, and for years, nothing changed. I just thought that was the reality of it. And then I started with HUSLA with these boys, Marcus and such, and then I was taught, and I actually believed that in order to get it better, I had to use it. And so that was the only time I started getting better. And I realized that the biggest difference there was the physio didn't make me feel confident that anything I ever did was going to fix what had happened. And until these boys told me that you're going to be okay, you actually need to use your back, that everything changed. And it's changed. I thought I was going to deal with this for the rest of my life, and it's changed. It's so much better now.
And that's what you need to hear sometimes, hey? That it's going to be all right. Let's just start it. Know how to regress and progress exercises or lateralize exercises. Like, that's all you got to do there. Because I've had a lot of the same type of clients, I guess, that have been in back pain for, this is more at the old job, I guess, but I've been in back pain for a long period of time. And then they just need to hear those words and get into the correct, not even the correct exercises, just starting at a lower level and building back into it.
Yeah, and
There's so many people.
Yeah,
in that
and I think
position.
that end of the spectrum where you're told avoid this, if you need to pick something up, squat down to pick it up. All these things. If we talk about the subconscious mind and what we start to do to that and the ideas that we create in that subconscious mind, they work against us. So if I'm told to only ever lift with a straight spine, and then I am doing a bunch of manual labor work and I'm just lifting with a straight spine the whole time, we're talking about a bunch of joints and muscles that are not getting any range. They're not getting a chance to move. They're kept stiff all the time. One of my biggest mentors taught me the clench fist analogy that I use with a lot of my clients. Like, you clench your fist for 8 hours a day and then you unclench it. Unclench it's going to be sore. It's just like your lower back or your shoulder or whatever. If you just keep it in a protected position all the time because you're told not to move, it's going to feel shit.
Yeah,
you need to move.
That's where the pain science comes into it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If you're doing that for such a long period of time, the alarm bells of when pain's going to happen is so early compared to when injury is actually going to happen. You're just so sensitized to everything that you're like, oh shit, all right, I'm getting a flare up here. Let's stop doing everything. But it's just your brain controlling that and saying, hey, we've got to look after you, because that's what we do when we've really focused on that posture of not trying to move too well for such a long period of time. It's hard to get out of. It's hard to get out of that cycle, but that's where stuff like this definitely helps. Being around the right people, getting trust from that person. Trust is huge, especially in long-term rehabs, I reckon. If they trust you and I make small mistakes, it's okay. We're going to get back on top of this and we're going to go. If that person doesn't trust you, you can have the best program in the world. It's not going to work.
And does that bleed into your approach to end stage rehab?
In what way?
So getting that subconscious mind under control.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm working on the whole rehab.
Yeah.
I think by the end of the rehab, when we're out on the field, when we're going through the late stage stuff, they should be ready to go.
Yeah.
We're just nailing the end part of it.
Yeah.
If I should have my change of direction stuff coming in a little bit earlier, or my deceleration coming in a little bit earlier to start that. And by the time we're getting to the end, the ball's coming back into it, a player's coming back into it, they should just be going, and we're working on little small tweaks.
Yeah. Louis Gifford. You know Louis Gifford? Old. I'm not sure if he's still alive, but one of my biggest mentors. I guess his kind of whole. You might have heard the phrase "thoughtless, fearless movement." Like that is the goal.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
nice.
being able to, and I think that's kind of what I base some of my treatment approach off. But like rehab doesn't stop when pain's not there. Rehab doesn't stop when you've done enough reps. Rehab stops when you genuinely can go and move without fear and without having to think too much about it.
I like that.
Yeah, thoughtless, fearless movement.
That's a tough thing to achieve.
Yeah. But this is also where I think clients let themselves down, because you'll see clients that just drop off, like pain goes, they're like, oh, I'm feeling good, it's all good. And it's like, man, like we're not just trying to steal your money, I promise. Like we're trying to help you out here in the long run, because your back might feel good now and you might have done a little bit to get that pain away, but pain is here. That's that part of the journey, but we need to get you up here to make sure it doesn't come back.
That's good education. Hey, you got to get that stuff in early to let them know that rehab just doesn't finish and you don't even, they can graduate from rehab and go into whatever space they're going into next, but you just got to tell them, okay, we got to keep working on this. Yeah, it just doesn't stop when that pain goes away.
And talk me through that in terms of like ACLs.
Yeah.
So I think I heard a little snippet of you on another potty, but not to fully kind of go over the same point again. But I think you mentioned something about like the biggest thing that people struggle with coming back is that they give up on the gym.
Yeah, and I was talking more about soccer players there.
They're the worst.
Suck in the gym.
We're so shit, man.
Yeah.
So bad.
Louis at Rebuild, the S&C coach there, is trying to change that a lot.
Yeah.
He's a really good strength and conditioning coach, but soccer players traditionally don't like the gym. But obviously in an ACL rehab or a long-term rehab, you've got to be in the gym for such a long time. But the biggest thing we do see is, let's say they complete their final testing, they nail it, they're strong, they're killing it, they get back to sport, they're playing sport, they won't go to the gym anymore. We test them again in 6 months or end of that season or whatever it is, they've lost so much of their strength.
Wussies, man.
Yeah, wussies.
Got to lift, man.
And can we just put it out there that you don't need to do much?
Nah, in season,
man, in season is not like it's barely anything.
Yeah.
Half an hour in and out twice a week.
Yeah, get it done. Stay strong. Work more on your isometrics if you need to. Reduce your ranges. Do all that basic stuff, but just keep that area as strong as you can, especially in that first season back. Have a really good off season, and just keep moving through like that. But they just focus on nothing in season. Off season, they'll get back into it, and then it kind of goes from there.
How can you change this, not just in soccer players, but just in the world? Like, how can you change? Because obviously we sit here and we're saying, like, trust me, like, we're not just trying to take money off you.
Yeah.
You actually need this. Like, is it, like, my opinion is it's education for these people. They need to actually learn a little bit about how it works. Otherwise, they won't value any of it. Like, how can we, if we could tell the viewers, like, listeners,
talk them through how you educated
me
me around like what my process will look like, because that really helped me. Not that I ever thought that you were trying to steal my money, but I think if I was just your general population kind of client, and I'm coming in and you're like, this is a 12-month thing, whatever. Yeah. Obviously ACLs are maybe a bit different, but if I came to you for another injury, like the same thing you did with me, just explaining the process.
I think in like education's key here. Like education is key, and the rehab or the physio world makes it a little bit easier because they're injured. They're a little bit vulnerable of what's going on. So you can educate them really well, and they'll listen to you. And you can build their trust really early on there. So I think if they're injured, they're in a rehab space, and you educate them well, it kind of builds from there. For you in the ACL world, like talking about criteria that needs to be hit, these are the times we're going to do it, and this is how long a general rehab is. Like giving you a nice overview makes you buy into it as well and understand, okay, this is how much I got to work, this is how long it's going to take, and this is the criteria that we're going to hit as we go.
Yeah, because ultimately as a client, you want that clarity.
Yeah,
like that's what I guess motivates you and makes you know that it's not, because it really isn't all on the practitioner. Like, you know what I mean? Like we're there to guide and help, and you've done a great job of that with me. But at the same time, like, I need to do the sessions.
Got homework.
I need to do the work, and if I'm not doing the work, I'm not going to get the results. Like, and even doing the work, you're not guaranteed to always get the quickest result. So I think that's important.
Can we go a step back?
Yeah.
So everything that we just mentioned was provided they even come and see you in the first place, and they don't go to their family friend physio. That's $60 for a session. That's not going to, I guess, get it as much as the suited physio. Not just you guys, but a suited physio to them. What can we tell the viewers? Like, how do we educate the viewers here on taking that first step and the importance? How can we educate them the importance of, I guess, I don't know what the fuck how to round off this sentence.
But find a good practitioner.
Yeah.
Find a good practitioner. Understand the importance of, not just doing like until you're pain free to the next step, so that you're stronger than you need to be, and blah blah blah, and your mind's right and all that sort of stuff. How can we? Because that's where it starts, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You can't change the industry if the people and do better work if the people don't go to the good people that are going to change the industry, right? How do we get them from that thought process of I'm going to go to a cheap practitioner that's my uncle or my auntie or whatever the hell, to let's go and spend that extra bit more, invest in myself, and make sure that I, have the lowest chance of re-injury?
It's a good question too, isn't it? I reckon
it's the golden question with the golden answer.
It's a tough one, but I reckon it is doing a little bit more research.
Yeah.
Research for the people that are getting injured, and looking into it a little bit more and finding people that specialise in certain areas.
Not just Googling physio near me.
Not just Googling physio near me. Yeah, it's actually diving deep into it. It's talking to people that have gone through similar injuries and who have they worked with, who have they found that's beneficial for them, things like that. There's always going to be some people that will go to their family physio or whatever it is that they really trust, even if they're doing a shit job. Like, that'll always happen. So there's some people you won't be able to change. But I think it is like research, talking to people, putting work into it, to find the best rehab that's going to suit you.
I got one other thing to say on that topic, if I can just squeeze in there and cut you off, because this is something that I guess experience when I'm talking to people in the gym or anywhere. And this is actually how I sort of like refer a lot of people to you. They've got EG. There's a couple of points here, but example, they bulged their disc. Oh, how long ago was that? 6 years ago. All right, still feeling pain. Yeah. What sort of exercises have you stayed away from? Oh, I don't do this, and this, like everything to do with just any musculature on the back. I'm like, all right, the disc's probably not causing you the issue anymore. 6 years ago, right? You need to try something different, and then I'll refer them to you. But at the same time, I also use an approach where, to go back to my question of how do we get them to even come in the first place, I say, look, if you're in the same position in X amount of weeks, nothing's changed, you're not progressing, they're still telling you to not do this, use a band here. I'm like, you need to do something else. Like, it sucks because like you're sort of shitting on their practitioner, or I'm happy to, because at the end of the day, my goal is not for their practitioner to be like, oh, he looked after my client. No, my goal is for the person I'm talking to get better. So I don't give a fuck. If I think they're doing a shit job, they're in the same position 12, 16, 24 weeks later from like quite a simple injury that I've seen you repair in 3 or 4 weeks. I'm going to say, nah, man, it's time to cut the shit. There's heaps of shit PTs out there too. Heaps of shit practitioners, heaps of shit everything out there.
Fucking no.
The timeline sort of thing on if you're still in this position in X amount of time, try something else. Get a second opinion. I don't know.
I reckon second opinions are important.
Yeah.
That was a good statement.
It was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a question
at the start, and then it was just.
It was supposed to be, but then I started going full ADD on it.
Yeah.
That's typical, Jay.
I think, and that's where you find it sometimes. Like when second opinions come into me, then we can start to find out what's been working, what hasn't been working, and kind of go from there. But I reckon, second opinions in the cases that aren't going to plan are fucking critical, and if you can make that happen, it's important, I reckon. But that timeline thing's really good, actually. To say, hey, I'm not trying to say go to Marcus right now. I'm saying, all right, let's see how you progress over this next little period. If nothing changes, boom, this is your plan B. This is your second opinion.
I did this with someone recently, a year with shoulder issues. And like, they're a friend of mine, longer. Friend of mine. And I kept in touch every month or two, like, how's the shoulder? Same thing, still can't press, still can't this, still can't that. What are you doing? Anything like reaching or any of that sort of stuff? Oh, nah, not really. I'm like, all right. all right, in a month or two, if it's still in the same position, like, it's time. Anyway, it took a year. And he came and saw Marcus. I swear to God, after like a week, he's like, bro, I'm already feeling so much better. I'm like,
all you need,
what's the cost of like 12 months in the same position, fearful, like, because the fear factor of the mind, as we were saying before, the fear that like you build, like I said as well, with people that have their disc issues 5 years ago, the amount of like fear that you solidify in your mind that you can't do this, you can't do that, you're going to have this problem forever, is like more detrimental than the actual injury itself. Like it takes longer to heal that than the actual injury.
Look, let's just circle back and understand that there's a lot of skepticism in the industry, like as a client thinking about which practitioner to pick. And I think a lot of that comes down to our prior experience with other practitioners. Probably all the people sitting in this room right now have had shitty experiences at one stage of our life with practitioners. So I think it's a fair enough reason to feel like that. But I think in this day and age, a good practitioner will always at least have a convo with you before charging you $1. I had a call with Geordie before charging me anything or whatever, and we chatted about everything and all that kind of thing over Zoom or whatever it was. And I'd pretty much already made my mind up, but that just solidified it for me. And for somebody that doesn't have as much confidence in just making a decision without having that chat, reach out, have a chat, you know, get an idea of what that person's like, how they communicate, and if you think you align with them. Because a lot of the time you will be able to just get that gist of, does this person seem like he's actually going to, you know, put my interests first, or are they more of a money-making kind of scheme that creates that skepticism in the first place?
How do you go logical? How do you work out if they're just like a repeat customer?
In my opinion, if you reach out to a business and they're happy to have just a chat with you, like Geordie was with me, and you know, like I am with anyone that reaches out, and they're happy to just have a chat for free, I think that's just good practice. And I think maybe barring your specialists and stuff that are, I guess, really high ticket, I really think that any good practitioner would do that.
Yeah. I like having those conversations as well.
Of course.
You get
100%.
to know that person before they come in, if they choose to come in. You get to give them a little bit of information that's going to help them, again, even if they don't see you. I
You can refer them to a friend if it's not for you. Like,
exactly.
So much
and that's benefit. What I do a lot. If something's a little bit too niche for me, or an area that I don't specialize in and see a lot of, I'll refer out to someone else. Yeah. And having that conversation is a really important part to help that person get to their desired goals, I guess.
Yeah. I, as you were saying before, I don't want to like shit on the practitioner. I was young. I had stress reaction, my lower back L4, and suspected stress fracture as year 7. Year 8.
What were you playing?
Year 6 and year 7. Footy and basketball.
Yeah.
So I had to stop. Recommendation was to stop. And then I just had chronic back pain forever. And it went away when I just started lifting weights. I just started squatting and lifting. But from a social standpoint, I stopped footy and basketball in the early years of high school, which is big because the social aspect of playing in a footy and basketball team with all your mates is huge. Yeah. It's part of your development as a kid that's growing into an adult, right? So I lost that, which was tough. I don't think I realized it at the time. It was annoying, but I don't think I realized that's a huge social thing for me as well. Recommendation to stop lifting. I never deadlifted. I'm a power lifter, just FYI. So we squat, bench, and deadlift. And so I had never deadlifted until, a year before, my first competition. And my deadlift's my best lift. I'm a decent deadlifter. But I'd never done that. And it only took until I'd met up with the boys at Strength Culture, and they're like, bro, why don't you use the fucking deadlift? Just do it. And then I did it. And, imagine, I kept that, I guess, fear stopping me from lifting. I would never be here where I am now. Never have deadlifted, never have done all these sorts of things, always protecting my back. I had back pain until I started actually doing these movements. So never strengthening the muscles that need to be strengthened to support the areas that were actually causing me grief.
And I think that's where a good criteria or timeline needs to come into it for something like a stress injury or stress fracture, because you do need to offload it. That's something where the physio, whoever you talk to, was probably right for that short period of time that you need to have your 6 weeks or whatever it was to offload, allow that area to heal and get going again.
Mine was stop.
Yeah, but then there wasn't that conversation after when that next phase started to say, all right, we can start getting into it again now. We can start to build up. Let's get some strength around these areas and get going.
Well, these are the things that I think that, and I think if the physio maybe had better, like, let's say equipment or the environment that she was giving me physiotherapy in, so like an actual gym, a bit more of an understanding on like how to teach someone to do a squat or a deadlift or an RDL or a movement that trains it back instead of just like a freaking one-legged or two-legged fucking glute bridge or something like that, then I would have had extra support that I needed to actually train those muscles so that they can get stronger. But that's what I felt like I was missing. So, and you mentioned it before, like now where you work, you guys have a gym. And you guys can like just like bang, we're doing like twice 100%. A week, we're doing like lifting or whatever, and then the other one's like in the room, blah blah blah, doing all the testing and stuff like that.
And that's why I don't mind if someone young gets injured and comes sees me, because then we can slowly get them into the gym and just start this whole development of getting them to understand how to lift, get an athlete development program going for them, and then where they're at a certain age where they're probably going to start lifting more, they've already got that foundation there of understanding these key lifts and what to do.
Every time I've been into not every time, but a lot of the times I've been into the clinic to see, and I see the young boys there, I always think to myself, like, what a privilege it would have been to have that as my first exposure to any sort of practitioner or strength and conditioning space. Like, they've got all the Volt equipment, they've got all the gym space, they've got, you know, a bunch of awesome practitioners and just a sick setup. Like, it would give me so much more confidence. And, you know, for a lot of people out there, that skepticism we're talking about, like, it would just be gone, I think, if you know, that was our first exposure, because then it just sets the bar high and, you know, straight away, like, you've got a reference point. Like, nah, man, like, you know, this person down the road that I'm seeing doesn't compare to Geordie or George or Louis or whoever it is down at the clinic. So, yeah, it would have been so cool.
This is a bit of a wild question, but I remember as a kid, everyone said, you know, don't start training early, don't start training at a certain age.
Stunt your growth.
That's
bullshit.
I never heard anything about it afterwards.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Is it proven bullshit?
What's going on here?
Proven bullshit. I actually did a presentation on this.
Really?
Club, yeah, bullshit.
That's
I can't be
bullshit.
stuffed getting into it, but full bullshit.
Really?
Zero evidence. Bullshit.
So
yeah.
if you had your time back, when would you start?
As early as I could move in a gym safely.
1-year-old.
Yeah.
1-year-old.
Yeah.
Because you're just learning the basics.
Yeah.
You're not really lifting weights at the start anyway. You're using a dowel rod and you're learning how to hinge and how to squat.
And then by the time you're like 14, 15, 16 and you're actually doing a little bit of, you know, stuff that's got some load on it and stuff, like, such a great time for adaptation.
Yeah.
Like, your body is so
100%.
adaptable at that time. Your hormones are in a great position. Like, you know, all the kids that started lifting when they were 15, 16 are jacked now.
Yeah.
Jacked as,
Yeah.
you know, because that,
move well.
you know, if we look at like testosterone levels and all that kind of thing, like, they're at
Start early.
They're at levels of like
Parents
when
need
you're
to
on
put their kids in
anabolic
and doing
steroids,
proper shit early.
Oh yeah,
Your parents need to do that because the parents are paying at that point. If you've got a 14-year-old that's got big aspirations to go and play AFL or whatever the hell, get them in the gym, pay the extra, get them training, get them with a good physio.
Dude, I got Liv in here, the 16-year-old that I train.
Yeah, she's doing all
She's
that shit.
so strong. Like, you have no idea how strong she is. She's a machine. She trains once a week. You know, and it's been a very gradual, low volume, just, you know, mixture of different movements, just getting her used to being in a gym environment. But she's like, it's crazy how quickly she's adapted.
I've got a video actually. You can
I was
them
doing
running
a-
through the car park with
yeah,
bands.
yeah, doing similar stuff to what we do.
Love
But
that.
yeah, like, just unbelievable. And I think we're once again just too scared in a lot of ways. So,
I had a thought as well before, like when you're a baby, and like you're learning to like you can't crawl, and you learn to crawl, then you crawl, like that shit would be like RP9 for like your first ever time doing it.
they
Like,
fall
it'd be
over.
hard.
Yeah.
They
It'd
fall
be hard
over.
work. Like
Yeah.
it'd be like just as hard as lifting weights, and like you grow the most.
technical failure every time they fall over, bro. When
The
they're
most
walking.
fragile thing in the world
Yeah.
is like RP 10ing their body weight up and then
they
trying to walk
adapt.
and falling over.
They adapt.
And
Dude,
then you
spot
get to
on.
like 7, 8 years old and it's like, don't lift. Or like however old between
Do you
10
remember
and
when you had
15.
that baby formula idea?
Starving.
Bro, he had this. He
I
had
was
this
a dumb
idea.
cunt
He
for
really.
a
He was
long
like. He
time.
was like, man, like
Babies double
think about it. Like
their size in
babies
fucking-
grow heaps. Like on baby formula, we should create a like
There's too
adult
much zinc
baby
in it,
formula.
apparently.
It's like, what's in it that we
I was
don't
drinking
have? It's like, it's
Post
just-
workout, it tastes so good and nostalgic. Honestly, protein
man.
powder and some baby formula tastes
just
good.
baby formula,
Far
so
out.
good.
Keep it going.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into a bit more nitty gritty ACL stuff, because that's really
Let's see if I
I
get any
think
questions.
where we can pick your brain the most. See if there's questions. I've got one. Something
Ooh,
I've
I've got
planned
one
to
on
ask you before.
triceps. Gone on triceps. It's a good question.
Yeah, okay. Is it rehab focused?
It's one of our members,
Yeah.
Josh Bourne.
Yeah.
Do
Oh, yeah,
you want me to rip it out?
Yeah, and then we'll get into ACL
So
stuff.
competitive strongman,
Yeah.
tore his tricep. His question is regaining tricep strength post tendon attachment 12 months post surgery. Still not 100%. Not really ACL, but
But that's all right. It comes down to the same principles, I guess. It's like, firstly, who is it?
his name's Josh Bourne.
Josh. Has Josh Bourne got the foundation set up? And what I mean by foundation, even to the structural aspect, like normally post that, it's hard to get full range. And I think getting full range, or try and get as close as you can to full range, is probably the most important thing early on. And then starting to build strength from there.
Without load, full range.
Yeah, well, just your range of motion. So your passive and active range of motion, what is it? Yeah. And
Full range in the elbow itself.
yeah, but
full
probably
range.
even extension.
Yep.
Like that's where...
No, it's funny because he did both.
Yeah.
I think one was surgical, one was non-surgical
Yeah.
from memory.
Yeah.
One struggles in flexion, one struggles in extension.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because I
And
think
he's
that's
yoked,
the
yeah.
hardest
Yeah.
part
Yeah.
is to get your full
Massive.
range of motion back. It's not an area that I specialise in, but I definitely have seen elbows.
Yeah.
But range of motion and that foundation is the first thing that I kind of look at. And then post that, like, how's his isometric strength compared to his strength through range and those type of areas.
Yeah.
But my first thing always comes back to what's their range of motion, one side compared to the other.
Yeah. Now, I got another question just on that. So this guy's yoked.
Yeah.
Strong as shit is a strong man, right?
Yeah.
So say you had same injury, fucking yoked strong man that can overhead press like, I don't know, over 160,
knows, yeah.
who knows, versus just like your normal average 80 kilo person that can overhead press 40 kilos or something. Obviously, like the muscles that help with, call it shoulder press, for example, are still going to be jacked and super strong on this person, but the tendon's obviously going to need a very similar amount of time to heal and adapt as the normal person. How do you sort of manage those two scenarios? Like, obviously, I would assume that Josh would have to really take it slow for longer, although he could probably triple the shoulder press that is prescribed to him from a rehab standpoint, versus the other person would find it quite difficult because their shoulders just...
Yeah, I think different phases will be different times for that for that kind of example, where Josh has a longer way to go to hit his mass compared to the other person, where they're not lifting too much overhead or just not lifting as much in general. So I think potentially through certain phases, Josh could push through that a little bit more, but his whole probably rehab could be a little bit longer to get exactly back to where he needs to get to, whereas the other person certain areas could be a little bit slower, but then the whole rehab might not be as long.
Yep.
That's a broad overview of an injury that I don't work with. Hey.
Yep. So obviously 12 months, still not 100%. You said he struggles with range. He might be calling 100% back to full 100% strength.
Yeah.
You might be saying you've progressed very well. Your 100% is just fucking so strong.
Yep.
Just give it some more time. Get your range of motion right.
Yeah, get your range of motion right. And that's a hard one, especially if it's been 12 months, because the last thing you'd want to do is go for a second opinion and have to get something else done. So it's finding out the level he's at, is at a level that is fine, and that's an area that he can stay, or does he want to push for those extra little bit? That's a conversation.
And so, like, in terms of range of motion, like, are you happy with 90% of what he should get, or are you it's like literally get as much as you can? Full?
I think it's really hard to get exactly the same as the other side, just trying to get as close as possible.
Well, he couldn't even bend his arm. His arm's too big.
Yeah.
He wouldn't even be able to get full.
Yeah,
like,
true. Yeah. The best that he can get with the area that he has.
He's not far off from what I when I spoke to him last. Like, he doesn't run his rehab with me. He's sponsored by somewhere else. So, but when I spoke to him last, he's not far off. But like we said, he's 100%. He's just so big, and it's going to take time. But he's done very well to stay consistent as well. So
he does what he needs to do when he needs to do it.
He's a legend. All right, I've got an ACL one for you. I got a couple actually. So I guess a lot of the questions I've been asked, which I've kind of given my opinion on based off the knowledge that I have, which is not yours. So I'd love to hear it from you. Conservative versus surgical management. Talk me through the considerations for both, because people, I don't think, understand that. Pros, cons, whatever you reckon. Worth mentioning.
Yeah, I reckon it's a good conversation to have for everyone. But it really comes down to what their goals are, what they want to get back to, what their age is, all that type of stuff. I think conservative management is a little bit more of an unknown.
So just to butt in, that's non-surgical.
So yeah, conservative management is non-surgical compared to surgical.
Yep.
Yeah. A lot of people want to trial conservative management because it means you don't have to go for surgery. It doesn't cost as much, all that type of stuff. But I believe it's got to be done on the right person. There's some lucky ones that don't need the ACL, that can still keep a stable knee with all the muscles surrounding it and the ligaments surrounding it and the cartilage surrounding it, and they can actually do well. But from my experience, there's not many of them. Once they get back to sport, the chaotic nature of sport, there always can be something that can happen that put that knee at risk for more damage going on.
Yeah.
However, if that person's not playing sport, they just want to go to the gym, they want to run, they want to look after family, they want to do that type of stuff. That's where I think conservative management is a really good area to talk about and trial. And that could be 8 to 12 weeks, or it could be up to a year and they could be totally fine. Or it could be that, okay, they get into that 8, 12 weeks where they're like, I still feel a little bit unstable. I'm not confident in this. And I want to think about surgery now. Yeah. So that's my thinking over conservative, where it's possible. It's a little bit more of the unknown, and it has to be done on that right person, which is hard to know exactly who that person is. I've had some people that go conservative because they want to trial conservative. They get through all the tests, they do everything right. Once they get back into that chaotic nature, it just doesn't feel right. Or they have an episode and they're like, nah, this isn't the way to go.
Is that have you ever had someone who you may have answered it then, but if you've had someone who's gone back to field sport, contact field sport, lots of change of direction, that you've gone, let's take the conservative approach?
It's normally them saying, I want to try the conservative approach.
And you're saying, I don't think so. But
I'm saying this is the pros of it, that it's going to be a shorter rehab. It's not going to cost you anything. But these are the cons. It's a little bit more of an unknown. You might not have a stable knee. You might get through the whole rehab, but once we get to the chaotic environment, that you might struggle. You might have an episode of instability where you could potentially do more damage. That could be the meniscus, that could be the MCL, that could be other stuff, which means you got to go straight for surgery, or you could be all right. So that's the conversation I have around there.
Would you, most of the time for those people, just say, just get it done?
Normally, if they're younger, especially if they're younger, they play a lot of sport. They want to get to the highest level possible, and they want to have the best, strong, stable knee they possibly can. Right now, I'm going more, surgery's the way to go, especially if the surgeons that we communicate with and work with, they're really good at what they do. Yes, you can still re-rupture, stuff can still happen, but for me right now, that gives you a better, strong, stable knee to a young person trying conservative and trying to get back into sport, where potentially other stuff that could happen, then they're out for another long term.
And let's chat about, I guess, say you've gone the conservative route. I guess the risk, at least from my understanding, is the load it starts to place on other structures. So the shear force that the ACL kind of stops. We know the meniscus doesn't do a great job of actually helping that out as much, and not having an ACL there is going to increase the load on the meniscus when it shouldn't really. And then if we talk about like doing a graft for an ACL, we can't really graft the meniscus, right?
No, if we're talking about that, yes, if you don't have an ACL, you got more of an unstable knee, where different structures definitely got to play a bigger role, especially in that rotational aspect, because your ACL definitely doesn't just help with that translation, it helps with some rotation as well. So let's say there's a little bit more pressure on meniscus, and that's probably the biggest thing you see post an ACL that doesn't that goes conservative, is something's going to happen structurally. It's normally something to the meniscus. If there's injury to the meniscus and they go on for surgery, yours got repaired. So they repaired your meniscus, which means you're off feet for 6 weeks, which really delays the start of your rehab. It makes it pretty challenging rehab. If there's a little bit that they can't repair, they'll just debride it, so they'll trim it out. And that over a long term probably creates a knee there could be a little bit more damage that goes on later in life.
Less stable. As well,
less stable, a little bit more chondral or cartilage pain that can come with it later down the track.
So I mean, and this is something that I think people need to understand. If you're someone that has done the ACL and you're trying to make that decision, a good thing to understand is there is a bigger risk of longer term issues not taking the surgical route when we talk about those other structures of the knee?
Just depends what your goals are too. There,
yeah, of course, yeah. If we're talking, I'd say more sporting populations. Yeah.
With the people I've worked with, definitely there's a little bit. There's a little bit more of there could be more stuff going on. Let's say if they do re-injure. It's a challenging conversation. That's why I'm thinking here, because there's pros of going conservative, there's pros of going surgical, but there's cons for both as well.
And I think that's your job as a practitioner, right?
Yeah.
Your job isn't to make the decision. Your job is to give them all the information to make their own call.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, but I think it's a conversation it needs to have with every injury. Good surgeons are talking about it now as well. There's different protocols that are coming out. There's a brace protocol now where if it's a certain type of tear, they'll put you in a position, they'll shorten it to try and allow that ACL to heal naturally on its own. We don't know how well that heals, but there's a lot. It's based in Sydney where it started, but there's a lot of that coming out as well, where we're learning more and more about the conservative approach in certain tears compared to the surgical.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Got more questions?
I had another one, but if you've got one, go for it, because I've forgotten it.
No,
what was my other one? Oh yeah, can ACLs heal on their own? It's a newer
definitely ACLs can heal on their own. I think it's a certain type
full ruptures.
Full ruptures. Yeah, certain type of tear.
And we only just found that out. Well, I mean, started to find that out more recently, right?
Yeah. I've had multiple clients that their ACL's healed. Where the surgeon normally says, let's give it 12 to 16 weeks, let's get another MRI and let's see if there's healing that's happened. So it definitely can heal. It's just, where does it heal to? Is it going to be a strong ACL like it was before? And biomechanically, is it going to do the job that we need to return to sport? That's the conversations that I'm having is, yes, it can heal, but where does it heal to and how well does it heal?
My understanding as well is that their life also has to facilitate for this type of healing process, right? Do you have to have your knee bent for a period of time?
Well, that's this new brace protocol where they'll start in a 90-degree position. They're pretty much shortening it.
For how long?
That's 6 weeks, and then it slowly opens up.
So their job can't be on foot?
No, well, they're normally on like little push things or whatever they call it.
So it's rare that most people would be able to
people are trying
down this path.
There's a lot of traction at the moment because it's a newer protocol.
If you're a tradie, good luck. Like and it's 12 weeks in total, is it?
Yeah, I think it's 12 weeks in total.
After 6, it's each 2 week. It's
you start to open that up.
Ranging from
we got one in the clinic at the moment who did their kind of early stage of Jane Rooney, who's a physio that kind of specialises in that area at the moment. And then just doing the rehab post out of the brace with us. I think Sydney, a lot of people have worked with them. There's a place up my way, Alphington, who sees a little bit more, but I just haven't seen heaps of the bracing protocol. I've just watched lectures and kind of read about it, I guess.
Did you play sport growing up?
Yeah.
What'd you play?
Soccer.
All right.
Yeah.
So
Gold Coast Knights, dude.
I'm going to ask you
a
tough question.
Didn't start lifting until I was at Woody's gym.
Tough question. Rewind the clock. I don't know if you were playing at 20 or whatever, but 20, you had aspirations to keep playing at a decent level. You do your ACL. You are not eligible for a cross-bracing protocol. It's either conservative or, I guess, surgical. What do you do?
I'd go surgical.
Yeah.
100% at that age, and I want to play the highest level. I wouldn't even think about it.
Yep.
The thing I'd be trying to find is the best surgeon and a physio that works really well with that surgeon. That's really good at what they do.
Can people ask you for surgeon recommendations if they're watching this?
100%. And they can ask me for physios in their area as well.
Beautiful.
Doesn't mean they come to see me, but it's like, let's find people, good physios that can help them.
Obviously, you know your knee. If your knee was the most stable knee, would your answer change to that question?
I don't know if you know your knee well enough. I reckon you can be stable through the whole rehab. You can do so many things. You can be good out on the park, but when there's someone stepping the wrong way that they should be, and you've got to take a different step, like, is your knee stable then?
Yeah.
We have a mate who did his ACL, got the surgery, full rehab.
Jake?
Hey?
Jakey.
Litho.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, full rehab. First game back, did it again. Decided he's just going to go conservative. Was doing a lateral lunge in the gym, bucket handle tear meniscus.
Yeah.
So, I know it's frustrating for a lot of people out there, but don't just. It's really hard to say, but don't just jump the gun and say, I'm just going conservative because I can't be stuffed. have a really, really good convo with a surgeon, with a specialist, with a physio about what those risks are, because, you know, in that situation, for example, he wants to play footy at a high level again, you know, straight after doing an ACL that's just been grafted for you, a big bucket handle tear of the meniscus.
Yeah.
No good. No good.
I got a mate, side story, just a different story. Did his ACL, was playing like pretty high level. I'm not going to name them because the rest of the story is funny. So was playing high level American gridiron. Scouts watching him, all that sort of stuff. Did his ACL, did the full rehab, surgical. Came back, did his first training session. Coach said, guys, repairing, like, his ACL's healing. No one tackle him. Gets tackled by a youngster, does his ACL again. Pretty sure he did it another time after that as well, after getting it done again. Really unstable knees, joints all around the body, just a lot of laxity. And slept with a photo of this kid at the end of his bed for like 12 months. He's like, I'm gonna... Anyway, he didn't do anything, but like, just, essentially derailed everything he was doing.
Especially if your identity's playing sport and these multiple...
Gun as well.
Yeah, going through a big rehab and then getting back into it and happening again, especially being contact as well, like that kills you.
Yeah.
Being that practitioner that's working with them as well, like
I'm pretty sure they did his surgery for free the second or third time.
Yeah.
They just said, man, this is crazy. I'll look after you.
Yeah. The most I've seen that comes into our clinic at Rebuild is they've done 4.
Same leg?
2 each side.
Same knee? Oh, I was
yeah,
gonna say,
2 each
damn.
side. Yeah, he's a man.
Yeah.
His name's Morgan. If he's listening, Morgan, you're the man.
man.
English boy, just
I like you,
loves
Morgan.
it.
Can
So
you
what's
just be
that- that's-
born more likely to do an ACL?
Yeah, there probably
Like,
is that.
Yeah.
There's a genetic component as well where you
Yeah.
see it happen in the family a little bit more.
Same with you, my mate.
Yeah.
Far out.
Dad, dog, sister.
Yeah.
I've got another question for you. Sorry to butt in, just popped up into my mind. Well, you got asked this on the last potty, and I think your opinion is even definitely much more valuable than mine. But when people say, well, when people ask, will that knee ever be the same again? Like I've had that question asked to me a million times. What's your perspective?
I think if you have done one ACL, your knee can be better than what it was before. I think if you're starting to get multiple traumas to the knee and there's more cartilage, more chondral type stuff, that's when it's a little bit more challenging, I reckon.
Yep.
It's hard to have a knee that is always pain-free, that always feels good, that there's no swelling, all that type of stuff. I think 1 or maybe even 2, like you can get it really good, but when there's heaps going on, that's when it gets a little bit more challenging and you do have those pains that stick around.
All that's provided that they cross their T's, dot their I's with their homework, their rehab, their training, nutrition, all of these sorts of things, and then continue maintaining or getting stronger after the knee's better and they're back playing sport and all that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah, because I think
100%.
my answer was, like, with all the stuff that we were doing, like we were chatting on the field the other day when we did our field session, and I was like, fuck, man, like there's so much here that you know, like struggling with that and you were like, yeah, you've probably just never done it before. And I was like, yeah, 100%. And when I think about that and I think about me just as an all-round athlete, like I think there's many aspects of my development that will make me a better athlete, a more robust athlete, and, you know, better coordinated biomechanically on the field, that in a lot of ways that knee will feel stronger to me. It'll feel like it's capable of doing more. It's smarter, you know, my brain's smarter at least. So I guess that was my answer. I didn't want to say my answer before you spoke, but it's quite similar.
Yeah. I reckon a lot of people that take it onto the field, sometimes it's their first time ever out there, like actually doing speed work or deceleration, change of direction. Most of us just play sport. You know what I mean? We go to soccer training and just touch the ball and do whatever we need to do, but we never really focus on how do I decelerate properly and how do I decelerate through one leg compared to the other leg, and go on that part. The biomechanical side is so important, and as you said, you can get better than you've ever been.
Cool. Very good. Well, we've cracked over the hour, so we'll if
last
you guys have anything
last thing just for Geordie, talk us through your plans for the future, man. I know you got some cool stuff going
Moving
on.
back to the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
So he prefers the Goldie.
Prefer
In
the
the end.
Goldie.
Yeah, there's the answer.
I didn't want to say it early on.
Yeah, talk us through it.
Mate, everyone look up Baseline Sports Performance. I've opened up a clinic on the Gold Coast with my best mate,
Good
Yasu
on you,
Mackie. That opened up a couple months ago. He's running it. He's been the trade, he's been the physio, he's nailing everything at the moment. I'll move up there I finish up in May here and then get back up there and get it going.
Congrats, bro.
But trying to do the same shit that's happening in Melbourne. There's a lot of good places doing the right stuff here, but I don't think there's heaps up on the.
And look, it's
Gold
really
Coast
handy,
yet.
I guess, for us. Like, we've got obviously a bunch of a team of online clients. Some are in the Gold Coast. Some, like, we have a lot of interstate clients, so it's good to have a network there that we can trust and handball.
Send them around,
So
mate.
Yeah, for sure.
What's the facility going to be like?
Very similar to what our setup is in Melbourne here. So we got our treatment rooms, we've got a big gym, we've got a track, we got all the Volt equipment, or getting more of the Volt equipment. And then we're
You
going to
got
have
staff organised, like other physios, or is it just going to be
us two to start with.
Beautiful.
Start
be
at,
spare rooms there?
always spare rooms, and then
That'll be pumping soon.
yeah.
That'll be
Nah,
pumping.
keep it
Blow up his
small.
inbox.
Yeah.
Keep it small at the start. Get our
watch
systems
6 months,
right.
there'll be 20 guys in there
Yeah,
seeing a million
Good, that's smart.
ACLs.
Play
Yeah.
slow and
Yeah.
build.
yeah, and that's what we're going to be
Good on
doing.
you, man.
But I'm keen. I can't
Excited,
wait.
Yep.
Be able to go to the beach every day, shit like that.
Yeah.
Feel healthy.
Oh, yeah, rub it in, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah,
be
look
slightly
good, man.
more tan than.
Yeah. Very good.
Sick.
Well, we've cracked over the hour. I guess let's. Where can people find you?
Socials, Radliff Rehab.
Radliff _rehab.
No underscore, just
Yeah,
Radliff
okay.
Rehab.
Nice.
Yeah, get that right.
And like,
mucking
if you've got
around.
content on YouTube or any of those sorts of platforms.
A lot of the content will come out on either Instagram or TikTok. YouTube's just a bunch of exercises that I put up over rehabs.
Website?
And then websites, radliffrehab.com.au.
And are you involved in the workshops and stuff at Rebuild?
Yep, so we do workshops at Rebuild. We do mentorships at Rebuild, focus on more ACLs than anything.
Rebuild
But-
here?
Hey,
Melbourne?
Yeah, in Melbourne.
where he works
Yep.
now, yeah.
Yep, owned by George and Lewis. George, a very good physio. Lewis, very good S&C coach. They're doing a really good job up there. And there's a good crew working there where we all love it.
Beautiful.
Unreal.
Awesome.
All right, well, thanks for coming on, bro.
Mate, thanks for having me.
We'll see what happens in a couple of days.
Big testing.
Yeah,
Let's
It's gonna
go.
batter me and then bag me for my
We'll
hamstring.
bring out another. You gotta bring out another video.
How weak were my hammies last time? It was it was pathetic.
Yeah, it was probably like a 47 percentile or something like that.
I think it was worse.
It wasn't very
I think
He
it was
spent
worse.
them all putting up walls and stuff.
No, he's got to rest tomorrow.
I blame the physio, man.
Yeah. I would as well.
Yeah, no, we'll rest tomorrow and we'll hit it hard on Friday.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Legend.
Thanks,
for your
boys.
time, brother. Appreciate
Love it.
it.
Thank you.